Hey everyone, I'm Mr. Willis, and welcome back to You Will Love AP Gov. Thanks for joining me for another video on one of the required foundational documents for AP US Government. Today's video is all about Federalist No. 70, an essay written by Alexander Hamilton that tackles the executive branch as proposed in Article 2 of the Constitution. If you're taking notes for your AP class or prepping for the AP exam, remember to click on the link below and download the free guided notebook page to make it easier to follow along. Let's get right to it. Hamilton's main argument in Federalist No. 70 is that a strong, energetic executive, meaning a single, decisive, and powerful president, is essential for an effective government. Hamilton makes several key points to support his argument. First, that an effective government requires a president who can act quickly and act decisively, particularly in times of crisis. Second, that having a single president makes the executive branch more accountable to the people. Third, that a multitude of executives, as proposed by the Anti-Federalists, will inevitably lead to a difference of opinions that requires discussion, debate, and compromise, all of which delay the execution of the laws. Fourth, that without an energetic executive, the government would fail to protect the nation from both internal and external threats, much like it did under the Articles of Confederation, which lacked an executive branch altogether. Federalist No. 70 was written by Alexander Hamilton in 1788 as part of the Federalist Papers, a series of essays advocating for the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. At the time, the newly independent United States was operating under the weak Articles of Confederation, which lacked an executive branch of any kind. The Anti-Federalists, who favored a weaker central government, were staunchly opposed to Article 2 of the new Constitution, which established an executive branch and invested a single president with several enumerated powers. With memories of King George III fresh in their minds, they feared that strong executive powers in the hands of one person would pave the way to a potential monarchy. They instead proposed dividing the powers of the executive branch amongst a group of people or a council of executives to safeguard against the rise of a tyrannical ruler in America. Hamilton, along with James Madison and John Jay, wrote the Federalist Papers to convince Americans that the new Constitution would create a more effective and balanced government. Federalist No. 70 asserts that a strong executive branch, led by one person, was essential to that balance. Let's take a look at how Hamilton presents his argument by analyzing some of the most famous quotes from the document and how you can interpret these quotes in an FRQ or essay. Essential to Hamilton's argument is his assertion that energy in the executive is a leading character in the definition of good government. To Hamilton, energy means the ability to make swift and strong decisions. So to Hamilton, having a decisive president is a key to having good and effective government. He goes on by saying, a feeble executive implies a feeble execution of the government. A feeble execution is but another phrase for a bad execution. And a government ill executed, whatever it may be in theory, must be in practice a bad government. This means that without a strong leader, the government itself becomes weak and ineffective. Hamilton warns that an executive with insufficient power would be unable to enforce the laws properly, leading to disorder and instability, meaning that Hamilton believes that the executive branch, as designed in Article 2 of the Constitution, is justified, because a strong executive or president is essential to good governance. Hamilton argues that there are two great benefits to having an energetic president. The first is unity, and the second is responsibility. He states that unity is conducive to energy will not be disputed. Decision, activity, secrecy, and dispatch will generally characterize the proceedings of one man in a much more eminent degree than the proceedings of any greater number. And in proportion as the number is increased, these qualities will be diminished. He goes on to say, if these disagreements should unfortunately assail the supreme executive magistracy of a country, consisting of a plurality of persons, they might impede or frustrate the most important measures of the government in the most critical emergencies of the state. Here, Hamilton warns that having a plurality of executives will lead to division, disagreement, and conflict, which would lead to indecisiveness and delay in the execution of the laws. The larger the plurality, the greater the conflict, and the longer the delay. Hamilton alludes to the legislative branch, where a great number of conflicting interests and opinions requires debate and compromise to achieve consensus. A multitude of executives would result in the same conflict, which would delay the ability of the executive branch to carry out its duties. Instead, Hamilton suggests that a single and decisive executive eliminates the division and delays that come with discussion and compromise, which can be beneficial in times of national emergency when the country needs decisive action. Hamilton also makes the claim that a single executive leads to greater accountability to the people. He says that the plural executive tends to conceal faults and destroy responsibility. He continues, it often becomes impossible, amidst mutual accusations, to determine on whom the blame or the punishment of a pernicious measure or series of pernicious measures ought really to fall. It is shifted from one to another with so much dexterity that under such plausible appearances that the public opinion is left in suspense about the real author. Here, Hamilton strengthens his case for a single executive rather than a council, because when power is divided amongst multiple leaders, accountability is blurred. A single executive can be held responsible for their actions, whereas a group might pass blame around, leading to a lack of clarity. Those who are truly responsible for a mistake can simply accuse other members, leaving the voter to guess who is really responsible and allowing bad executives to escape accountability. A single executive cannot hide from their actions and can be held accountable for their success or failure more easily. Ultimately, the buck stops with the president because there's no one else to blame or hide behind. And that's everything you need to know about Federalist number 70. You can click here for additional videos for AP US Government. And be sure to check out my videos on AP Macroeconomics and AP Microeconomics as well. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content on AP Government and Economics. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on You Will Love AP Gov.